Hey guys, welcome in. I'm going to jump into this Reddit article from a first-time investor. It gets spicy. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I had read it before. It looks like he made an update, but I'm gonna give you guys what I read at first, and then we're gonna go into the update that he made. It says, "I'm new to real estate investing and honestly to investing in general. I'm an immigrant living in the Northeast, originally moving here for college. Now at 38, I'm doing fairly well in my career. I'm unmarried with no kids yet, so I hope that changes in the future." Okay, cool. 38, no kids. Fine. While I love my job, I have a strong desire to achieve financial freedom before turning 50. Through research and learning from others, I realized that real estate could be a viable path to reach that goal. Real estate is a great path for you to achieve financial freedom before the age 50, especially if you're only 38 now, said you bought a duplex, or you bought a rental property. So that's a good start. It's a good start. All right, about a year and a half ago, I purchased my first multifamily property at the height of interest rate spike, at 7.25% rate. I was able to put down 3.5% down using an FHA loan and close in late summer 2023. Okay, I moved into the downstairs unit and renovated the upstairs to rent out. The renovation was funded out of pocket with a small withdrawal from my 401k. It wasn't easy, but I was proud to finally rent it in February 2024, $3,350 a month through the Section 8 program in a very affluent suburb. Okay, that sounds like a good amount for rent, especially going through Section 8. That's why you should never, Section 8 is a great source of income when you're renting out a unit. I know it has a negative stigma, but you get those checks on the first of the month. You don't have to worry about the checks being late because it's coming straight from the government. So Section 8 is a great way to get started in real estate. So he said he had an FHA loan and he had to make some renovations to the second floor unit. He probably could have got something called a 203K loan, where he could have wrapped those charges for the renovation up into the mortgage instead of having to come out of his pocket. He could have pay for it on the back end of the mortgage instead of having to jump into his savings. But let's get back into it. Feeling optimistic, I decided to finish the basement to generate even more income. That project cost around $45K, and I ended up furnishing it as an Airbnb with the help of a $10K bank loan. Okay. So you renovated the basement to generate even more income. $45K, that's a lot. That's a lot. You must have had to do some plumbing, put in a bathroom, electrical work, tear down walls. $45K, that's a lot. Okay. He says the best decision I made. Before I even launched, I had bookings lined up. Between November and December 2024, I earned over $7K and cleared about $6K in profit just from the basement unit. Okay, nice. He's making a good profit using Airbnb. But Airbnb is great. You can make those, big monthly payouts, but it can be cyclical. Like, you can have a good winter and then the spring may be slow season. It's really like area dependent and like how quality your Airbnb is. It also depends on getting good reviews, where you're ranked on the website. A lot of those factors go into the Airbnb algorithm, like where you're placed and when people see your listing on Airbnb. But that's a great return for him. He should be making his money back maybe by the end of the year. Okay. But then came the setbacks. Right before the last guest of the year checked out, we discovered a plumbing issue. What I assumed would be a small fix turned out to be multiple sewer line damages. The repairs cost me around $30K so far. Yikes. On top of that, the plumber had to involve the town for inspections, which revealed that my basement renovation was done without the required permits. I honestly had no idea permits were needed for renovating your own home. I wasn't raised in the U.S., and I don't have anyone in my network who could have guided me. See, plumbing issues, like I had a plumbing issue at one of my properties. Actually, the property I do is a multifamily I do Airbnb out of. But there's insurances that you can get to cover those type of things. Like I have an insurance plan called American Water, and it covers anything from the curb of my property to, right up to my property line. So anything from the street to where it enters my house, all that exterior, water line, gas line, it covers all that. And it's fairly inexpensive. It's like $8 a month. But I actually had to use it because my curb trap collapsed. So I was starting to get it like a divot in my front lawn. I'm like, what's going on? They actually had to replace the curb trap. So they had to dig in the ground, replace the piping because the pipe had collapsed going to the street. Probably would cost me, I don't know, 10, 15K. You know, my insurance was able to cover it. I had to pay like what was it? My deductible, it was like $500 or so. But that beats paying 15,000. You know, if he would have had this insurance, that probably could have saved him a whole lot of money. But it's all in learning. That's another reason why mentorship is so important. These are like things he could have had in place before. So like a mentor could have guided him on the reasons why you need those permits, because anything like that can come back and bite you. So let's see what happened now. Okay, so now I've been cited by the town in the process of retroactively obtaining permits and addressing the violations may cost me upwards of 20K. It's been heartbreaking. So, okay, for the plumbing so far, then another 20 violations and permits he had to get. That's 50 grand right there. Like that's, woo, man. Plus the other 45 he spent on renovating the basement. He's almost down $100,000 just from not having a mentor, pretty much. To make matters worse, the tenant in my upstairs unit, while consistent in rent payments, has been incredibly difficult, loud, combative, and causing me serious stress. I've decided to move forward with the eviction. Peace of mind is priceless, but she's already threatening legal action against me. The eviction process is not that easy. You can't just say I'm going to evict somebody and they're out, in 30 days. It's, like these tenant laws are crazy. They have a lot of rights, especially if you're not in a landlord-friendly state. Like trying to evict a tenant could take months, and it can tie you up in legal costs. They're already talking about getting a lawyer. They may be an experienced tenant, that's been through this before, where they sued a landlord or something like that because they went straight to, threatening litigation. Then that's a big red flag. That's why screening your tenants is super important. Super important. So as it's not going to be easy to get your tenant out, I would suggest maybe doing something like cash for keys. Like, hey, listen, I'll pay for your moving expense to move somewhere else. I'll give you some cash. I'll pay for the moving truck or whatever. I'll give you 2,500 or whatever it is, just to leave. You know what I mean? So that's an option. Okay. So financially, it's been tight. My mortgage is now $6,600 a month, up from $6,200 due to a tax reassessment. Yep, that happens. This month, I earned only $3,000 from Airbnb because my calendar was just opened in April, and I still received $3,300 from the tenant, barely covering the mortgage. There's no cash flow yet. At least I'm not coming out of pocket. Going forward, I'm planning to move into the basement unit and convert both main units into Airbnb rentals. One is a 3-bedroom and the other is a beautiful 1-bedroom. I believe this pivot could help me recover from all the unexpected costs and finally start building momentum. I mean, I like the idea of turning both units into an Airbnb, I would do some more research and see how much more that other unit can bring in on Airbnb. You kind of want to test the market, see how consistently you'll be getting booked. Check out the competitors, see what their rates are. You just want to know your market with Airbnb. There's a website called AirDNA. You can check out different stats of other Airbnbs in your area, or you can just use Airbnb and just see in your zip code and see what's around your property, see how much you're going for. Sometimes you can kind of see if they're booked up going forward or in the past, but Airbnb could be good, but like I said, it's not always consistent. Right now, you're getting that money from Section 8 from the government. That's consistent, that's on time. When you know you have that 3K coming in, Airbnb is not like that. You have your up months and your down months. It's not always consistent. Plus, if it's the 3-bedroom unit that that's gonna be the new unit that you put on Airbnb, to furnish a 3-bedroom unit could cost you another $4,500 to $5,000. It's just some furnishing because once the tenant leaves, not gonna be any furniture in there, so you're gonna have to put all new furniture in there or used furniture or whatever. But that's gonna push you over that 100K that you're spending. So the decision you gotta make. Okay, so let me jump back in. Okay, currently I make $12K a month after taxes. I have about $20K in savings. Okay, $130K in the 4K. No debt, no car, no student loans. I'm proud of what I built, but I've made a lot of costly mistakes, to say the least. And now I'm feeling discouraged. I also need a car, though it's not an emergency. Not having one is tough. You definitely have made a lot of costly mistakes, but so have the best of us. Like, in real estate is never going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You don't want to make $100,000 worth of mistakes, but mistakes are going to happen. That's okay. The main thing is you learn. Like, hopefully you won't make the same mistakes. You learn from this. To pull permits, vet your tenants, things like that before you do any changes. So, it's just an expensive blessing. That's all. But don't get discouraged. You're definitely on the path towards financial freedom. You just gotta keep pushing forward. And it'll be good. Okay, so it says, I would deeply appreciate any advice on how to navigate this situation, both financially and emotionally. How can I stabilize this investment, protect myself legally, and still stay on track towards financial freedom? I mean, as far as legally, like, you gotta talk to your lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. So get legal advice from a lawyer or an attorney. But you could do what's called, I'm not going to get into like quick claim deeds. Put your Airbnb inside of an LLC or some type of legal entity to protect yourself from like any potential lawsuits and things like that. Just use the internet. Go on, ChatGPT, and put in a prompt like, hey, how can I protect myself, with my Airbnb and protect my investments and things like that. Use AI, get this information, put it into practice. All right. All right. So now I'm gonna read the update. This is new. I haven't seen this yet. Okay. So update. Talk to the inspector. One of the rooms in the basement cannot be habitable at all, and the basement heights are low, maybe less than 6 feet. The whole basement is like 6'9" ceiling height. House is pretty old, 1920s. As usual, my Airbnb is doing amazing. Already booked for June 1st through June 9th. Projected income of 2K. I'm very worried. Town inspector says the basement room is a fire hazard, and that's where the Airbnb is. I'm truly gutted. Should I take the money for June and close the Airbnb? I'm scared they're going to know it's still open and take my bookings. I blocked it from June 9th till next year. COS. I'm super worried. This is where you have to have a mentor. You did all that work in your basement, spent $45K, and you don't have the proper ceiling height? Oh my God. So you probably dug down and put some plumbing in, and you had mentorship. They would tell you like, hey, look, you need about 2 more inches. We need to just dig out the whole basement, put a new slab. I just did this. I had the property in Baltimore. I had to put a whole new slab because I didn't have the height in my basement either. But I knew that to do that before the renovations, though. I don't know. This stuff that comes with experience. I don't know everything, but I know I had mentors I can lean on and get that information from before I make these costly mistakes. Man, it's a fire hazard. Yeah, if anything happens, like they need to be egresses in the basement. There needs to be like a way out, doors, multiple windows, especially if people are sleeping down there. Man, yeah, I would shut it down just to be safe. Only thing is like you could live down there and Airbnb the other units. I mean, it's still a fire hazard and stuff like that, but you'll be taking a risk and not your guests. So if you feel comfortable, you already said, you were going to do that. Like, I would do that. I would move into the basement and the Airbnb the other unit. But yeah, like, this is, you're in a tough spot. You're in a tough spot. Yeah. Because it's a fire hazard. It's not safe. It's not safe. So, I mean, yeah, I would definitely take that off of Airbnb because you don't want anything to happen. God forbid there is a fire and something happens, somebody couldn't get out, and you know they already said it's not the proper height for people sleeping down there. So yeah, CYA, cover your ass, shut it down. You move in the basement, Airbnb the other floor, and just take it as a learning lesson. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. What should this guy do? Adventurous Pie 357. Write it down in the comments. What should he do? Give him some advice. I think he should move into the basement, Airbnb the other floors. But give me your take. Yeah. If you guys want my mentorship, you can sign up. You can go to my stand store. The link is in the bio at Thomas CEO. Or you can follow me on Instagram, everywhere on X. I am running a one-on-one course coming up soon. Going to be a 5-day course. Just helping one-on-one, helping people get their first property within 90 days. So it's a 5-day course, gives you the blueprints to getting that property in 90 days. All right. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'll see you. See you soon.